SCP-965 is called The Face in the Window. This one's by Dr. Cat, guys. Make sure to subscribe to him. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos, and let's get into this one.
So you're saying all I have to do to earn my freedom is sleep in this room overnight, and I'll be free to go? Asked the D class. Of course. You get a full pardon for everything, and you become a free man, responded the Foundation agent. He was flanked by two heavily armed personnel. All right, let's do this,
usually not
the
how
D
it
class
works,
said
but
with
I'll
a
take
smile. An armed guard stepped forward and opened the door. He nodded for the D-class to step in. The armed man was nervous. He avoided looking into the room. When the D-class stepped in, the door quickly closed behind him.
Of course.
He looked around. There was a bed and a nightstand with a dimly lit lamp on. If the room was this comfortable, surely it couldn't be that bad to spend the night, he thought, and shrugged with his shoulders. He approached the bed and sat on it for a few minutes. The wind blew softly against the curtains. It wasn't cold, but he felt particularly chill and anxious. He went to the windows to close them. As he drew the windows shut, he thought he saw a strange face within the panes, but when he checked again, he realized it was just his own reflection. He went back to sitting on the bed. Minutes passed, and he soon grew bored of just sitting, so he laid down until he fell asleep. When he opened his eyes, he found himself standing in an entirely different place. It was still night. He looked around him. It was a dark road that stretched into the night. There were no houses around. He didn't know he was standing under a street light until it lit up suddenly above him. This startled him. On the other side of the street, another street light lit up. Underneath it, he saw the silhouette of a man standing. When the street light flickered off and back on, the figure was no longer there. Excuse me, sir. Are you waiting for the bus too? A voice said beside him. He turned in shock to find an old man standing beside him. That old man wasn't there just a second before. He looked to be in his 50s, had pale skin, and a slightly hunched back. I don't know. I don't know where this is or what I'm doing here. Where are we? Do you have any idea where this is? The D-class said with fear on his face and in his voice. Very well then. I better get going to the next bus stop. The old man said with a hint of disappointment in his voice as he turned the other way. Ouch! The D-class said as he felt a sharp pain on his left arm. He looked at it. He was bleeding heavily. When he looked at the old man, standing behind him was no longer the old man he interacted with earlier. He now had a crazy look in his eyes, and his teeth were sharp like fangs. He had a blood-stained knife in his right hand. Oh my God! Let's play a little game before the bus arrives, he said as he swung the knife for another cut. The D-class dodged this time, and he ran away as fast as he could. You can't run forever, the old man yelled in the background, laughing out loudly. By the time the D-class stopped, he was tired. He'd also lost a lot of blood from his bleeding arm. He looked around him. He was in a quiet neighborhood, filled with houses now. All the lights were out. He walked to the nearest house and broke into it through the window looking for medical supplies. As he rummaged through a shelf in the house searching for the supplies, he heard a door open up the stairs. He paused to confirm if he heard right and moved fast to hide behind the curtains. The footsteps were getting closer and louder now. Suddenly they stopped. He peeped through an opening in the curtain. Standing on the last step of the stairs was the old man from the bus stop. The old man looked around the house. He walked towards the open shelf. He paused briefly. Then he looked straight at the curtain. I know you're there, he said as he pulled out his blood-stained knife and ran towards the curtain.
Dude, he's just everywhere.
When the D-class reached out to protect himself from the attack, he woke up screaming. It was all a nightmare. He was still in the same bedroom from before. He looked around the room for a wall clock to check the time. There was none. So he walked to the window to confirm if it was morning already. When he parted the curtains, he jumped back in fear. Before him, right on the other side of the window, was the face of the old man from his dream, staring right back at him with the same crazy look in his eyes like from the nightmare. Getting peeped on is no fun. But what if your stalker is a face stuck within your window? This question brings us to the Curtain SCP to be discussed in this video.
Curtain SCP.
SCP-965 is a visual manifestation that appears within framed windows. These manifestations take the shape of the shadowed face of a pale-skinned man that is looking through the window. The exact details shown vary from manifestation to manifestation. However, sufficient information acquired from frequent observations have revealed the face to be the same being at different points of its life, between the approximate ages of 10 and 55. Research into an individual whose identity matches SCP-965 has so far been inconclusive. SCP-965 only appears when the lighting outside the window is dim, regardless of how bright the lighting is on the inside. It has been discovered that the face will only appear in a fully assembled window frame, though such a window does not need to be currently installed in a building. SCP-965 has not displayed any ability to intentionally move from one glass pane to another. It is only able to appear in a new window frame after the destruction of the previous window frame condemned SCP-965-1. Once it moves to another window frame, this window frame will be reclassified as the new SCP-965-1. The face is also visible from the other side of the SCP-965-1. But despite this, the face is always seen as looking into the room where the window is currently placed. Those who are exposed to SCP-965 report feelings of unease, nervousness, and paranoia. These sensations will overwhelm anyone within the visual range of the manifestation, even if the window containing SCP-965 is covered by materials like curtains. This means that all it takes to be affected by the effects of SCP-965 is for it to set its eyes on you. Based upon reports obtained from residents of the house where SCP-965 was first discovered, the victims usually encounter difficulties with sleeping. To better understand the nature of 965, experiments were conducted using D-Class personnel who were made to sleep in a chamber where SCP-965-1 was installed. The experiments yielded a lot of results. Notably, it was discovered that an individual that is sleeping in any area visible to SCP-965 when it manifests will begin to have different disturbing dreams that commonly involve the subject being chased, attacked, tormented in such dreams. After repeated exposure leading to recurrent nightmares involving the same subject, SCP-965 will begin manifesting with what appears to be a smile on its face. It is at this point that the subject will begin to complain of experiencing heartburn or abdominal pain. Soon afterwards, they would then begin to vomit blood or have blood in their excreta. This is caused by the victim suffering ulcers and internal bleeding. The current theory regarding the cause of these physical symptoms is that SCP-965's influence might be wearing the body out due to the increase in stress and fear levels. Subjects whose symptoms have progressed to this stage have also reported seeing the pale-faced man in their dreams, as well as in the edges of their vision while awake. This effect continues even after they are no longer in the presence of SCP-965. Many of these subjects continue to suffer from prolonged feelings of paranoia, as well as depressing feelings that they are being watched or followed. It is not yet clear if this is an imprint left behind by the traumatic intrusion of SCP-965. As a result, this is currently under investigation. SCP-965 has not made any audible sounds to date. There have also been no reports of the face animating beyond the expression it first appears with. Yet, SCP-965 has shown signs of being able to express emotions. It has been observed to show disappointment if it manifests to an empty room, irritation or anger when manifesting before someone that had broken a prior SCP-965-1, and one instance of visible fear when in the presence of a Foundation agent who had earlier participated in its retrieval. SCP-965 is contained within a framed, ready-to-install window that is classified and referred to as SCP-965-1. SCP-965-1 is composed of at least 6 panes of clear glass or any similar material used in making window frames. Each version of SCP-965-1 measures at least 15 centimeters by 30 centimeters. It is standard procedure for SCP-965-1 to be kept within an environmentally controlled storage facility capable of withstanding earthquakes to avoid the glass shattering and the risk of losing SCP-965's containment. SCP-965-1 is to be inspected at least once per week to check for signs of damage on the material where it's being held. At least 2 similar framed windows must be present and placed within separate chambers with both featuring additional padding and insulation from earthquakes to avoid damage. There should be no other window pane measuring 14 centimeters wide or 29 centimeters tall between these replacements and the current SCP-965-1. The lighting within the chamber containing SCP-965 must be increased at any time Foundation personnel are within said chamber, except during research involving D-Class personnel. Despite successfully containing SCP-965 within different instances of SCP-965-1, the Foundation is currently unable to control its movement through other means after the destruction of each SCP-965-1, except by placing similar windows nearby. Research into more permanent means to contain SCP-965 is ongoing, and individual experiments may be carried out by Clearance Level 1 personnel after approval by Level 3 administration.
Okay.
So far, there have been 2 particularly concerning incidents involving SCP-965.
Right.
They're classified as Incident 965-1 and Incident 965-2. Incident 965-1 occurred during routine testing involving the destruction of SCP-965-1 in the early 90s. This incident confirmed that while a multi-paned window may act as multiple holding zones, sufficient damage to the overall structure disqualifies it as a possible replacement. Unfortunately, after this discovery, SCP-965 manifested in an adjacent experimentation chamber's observational window. Due to the high standard of Foundation equipment, it required the window's complete removal and destruction with high-grade explosives.
Sure.
As for Incident 965-2, a Foundation researcher who had worked extensively with research concerning the man in the mirror requested transfer away from the project involving SCP-965. She'd become obsessed with finding out the origin and identity of the man in the mirror that she spent several hours working in the containment chamber where SCP-965 had manifested and was being observed. Weeks later, she complained that she started having visions of SCP-965 and experiencing feelings of paranoia, similar to those who have been affected during sleep. This happened despite the fact that she had not slept in the presence of SCP-965 herself. Due to the sensitive nature of this occurrence, she was temporarily relieved of her duties and assigned to psychological care under close monitoring. Luckily, she did not manifest any of the gruesome physical signs associated with long-term exposure to SCP-965.
That's good.
Since then, no other instances of SCP-965 affecting personnel who have not slept in its presence have been reported. The event was completely unexpected, but it presented a new angle to the nature of 965 and necessitated the introduction of new safety measures when dealing with the SCP, including limited research hours. That's all for now. SCP-965 is just one of the many curious phenomena in the Foundation archives. If you're looking for more of this nature, be sure to check the other videos on the database. Who knows, you might find something even scarier than a pale face in the window.
I mean, that's a pretty scary one to tell you the truth, Dr. Cat. Pretty scary one in my opinion. That, you know, the haunting visions of anything that you see in like a window or whatever. I've had some moments where I thought I saw something in the window at night and stuff, and it's scary. Like your heart will start racing immediately, man. I could see how this would be very, very real, you know. It's crazy. At any rate, guys, make sure to subscribe to Dr. Cat. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos. Thanks so much for watching. As always, Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.